to really get it going, they just gave up that field position as opposed to trying to kick it deep and run a risk of us, taking it to the house on them again and creating some momentum. So that's kind of what we're preparing for. We expect guys to acknowledge the fact that, we've been the best in the country a couple of years ago, and so I don't think we're too far off from that. In terms of the other 10. We got to find the right returner, but I think the other 10 are doing a good job.
When I talked to Seth a couple of weeks ago, he said you were one of the only coaches who kept in touch with him through this whole process after what happened in Oklahoma. What about that relationship was so special and kind of helped you guys reunite at this point too?
Well, I just think this in recruiting process, man, and especially if you sign a kid, right? Those relationships don't end there, Obviously you can't tamper in those type of things, but when he was down and nobody else was talking to the kid, I wanted to still be there. I wanted to let him know that, hey man, look, trouble doesn't last forever. You know what I mean? We all go through some tough times, man, and you're gonna have to fight your way out of this, but I also want him to know that God has got him. God is with you. And so, I was, as this is my calling, I feel like my job is so much bigger than just trying to be there for a guy because he can do something for me. It's not about that. It's about helping developing these young men and giving them a resource and not letting them lose hope so someday they can be young men and growing to be grown men as well too, fathers, husbands, co-workers, uncles, and all that type of stuff. And so that's what it was all about. It's just who we are.
Bush mentioned that, it's going to be two guys, right? It's going to be Seth and it's going to be Dowdell. So what's your responsibility to make sure that those guys are in at the right time for the right situation?
I like to try to develop our guys into being able to do just about everything. So, there's going to be some play calls and whatnot that we want a particular guy in. That's going to be built in the call. So we'll be able to get those guys in. Other than that, man, I just try to, keep those guys fresh. I'd much rather have a fresh guy running at guys rather than a guy that's just tired and, he's getting worn down and whatnot. That's how we were last year. We had really and truly one guy that knew everything, that could do everything right. Then I had some young talented freshmen that didn't do everything right, that wasn't running the right way. And people blame the line for stuff, and then it's really my young back that's going the wrong way or taking the wrong steps and all that stuff. So, this is a different situation now. We got veterans that are there that make the right reads, or take the right steps, that pick up pass pro. They're big, they're physical. I look forward to seeing them on the field in a live setting. So we can just roll. We got our other two guys that were younger last year. Jay Patton is a redshirt freshman and Mar as a redshirt sophomore. Those guys are ready as well. If one of those other two guys fall off, then we just plug and play with the next guy up.
Sometimes you get
offensive line. Oh, go ahead.
Sometimes you get a hot hand. So how do you just? What's the process of learning of when maybe this guy's in his zone and you let him play through some fatigue because he's feeling good? Is that just something you kind of got to see out there in a game-like situation?
Yeah, there's not a process of learning. I've done it before. Samaje Perine, Joe Mixon, you know what I mean? I've had, multiple backs be able to run and get 1,000 yards, which is pretty productive. And yes, you're right. Hot hands. If a guy gets hot, in the second half and I see that he's hotter than the other guy, then we're probably going to do that. But I don't want to predetermine what that looks like at this point. I'm going to wait to see what it looks like on the grass and just kind of develop. So it's just one of those things. It's not a thing where I'm sitting there trying to say, well, how do I do this? It's not about how to do it. It's about doing it. And that's where we are with it right now.
You guys have been real, cautious with Dowdell and Seth McGowan, keeping them, off the ground. Through fall camp, maybe keeping them out of some scrimmage. How do you balance, keeping them safe so they're ready to go once the season starts, but also, getting them, live reps since they are new to the program?
Every day is a live rep. Every rep that we take at running back, we run like we're getting tackled. So there's times when we are on the ground. That's the part that I tried to get away from some of those older guys like Seth is a 6-year guy, 5th year, whatever. He's old. You know what I mean? How many more times do you need to put him on the ground, to say, oh, can you do it? He played as a true freshman at Oklahoma. So I know what he can do. I saw him play last year on film at PFF at New Mexico State. I know Dowdell. I saw him play at Nebraska. I know those guys, what they do and what they're going to bring to the table. The challenge is just keeping guys off their legs right now, because that's where people are going to be going every day.
For those who haven't seen those two guys play much, how would you describe their distinct styles. It seems like you've got two different kind of guys.
Dante's a big boy, and Seth is unbelievably quick, you know, and really shifty. So, you know, that's what you're going to see on Saturday. Now, how that's going to look with the combination of the two of them, I mean, your guess is as good as mine. I haven't had two complementary backs like that. You know, the closest thing for me is Samaje and Joe Mixon, but man, I've seen two backs like that, you know, through the years. I mean, there was Reggie Bush and Lindale White. There was Maurice Jones-Drew, and forget the other guy's name that was at UCLA with him. I mean, we've seen a combination of a big back and a smaller back or a quicker back, and that tends to serve you well offensively because you're creating something, you know, in the big guy, and then all of a sudden you're bringing a shiftier guy in, and now they got to tackle both of those guys the entirety of the game. So that's what I'm curious to see. That's what I don't know what that's going to look like on game day.
Okay, folks. Thank you.